In summary task 3, you'll load the data into your schema. First, you'll explore the source data in Catalog. Next, you'll add the empty geodatabase data model with schema to a new map view. Then you'll load the vector feature data into your feature classes. Next, you'll load the tabular record data into your standalone tables. You'll also manually add tabular record data to the Wendy Darling standalone table. Then you'll verify the geodatabase schema and data. And last, you'll import the raster cell data. Now that you've created the geodatabase schema, you're ready to load the source data. Most GIS or database projects extract data from multiple source formats, transform the data into the target format, and load the data into the data schema. These processes are known as extract, transform, and load, or ETL, and are typically combined into a single data processing tool. You'll use the append geoprocessing tool to extract, transform, and load the vector and tabular data into your project geodatabase, and the raster to geodatabase tool to import the raster data. Now let's explore our source data in Catalog. I'm going to click on the View ribbon, and then in the Windows group, click on the Catalog pane button. Of course, this opens the Catalog pane, but there's also a Catalog view, and I'm going to click on that button to open the Catalog view. Now, the Catalog pane is used to explore and access the properties for our various project components, including if we drill down all the way to our Modeling Neverland source data folder, we can see all of our source data. But the problem is, although I can see what type of data it is, for example, the island shapefile, I can't actually see in the data set. And that's what the catalog view allows us to do. So if I drill down to the same folder in the catalog view, and select the islands.shape, there you can see the metadata panel. If I click on the geography panel, I can actually see the features inside the shapefile. And I can pan around and zoom in and explore the features. I can also view the attribute records by clicking on the table panel. There you can see all the attribute records we'll be loading into our feature class, including the integer land cover field. And if I click on the metadata panel, I can read in more detail about this particular shapefile, including seeing a thumbnail, the keywords or tags, the summary, description, credits, and even the use limitations. I'm going to go ahead and explore some of our other data, including the John Darling DBase4 or database table. Now notice when I click on geography, there's no records there because it's a table. But if I click on table, I can see all of the attribute records, which includes the number, outcome, and location. If I click on the DEM TIFF, which is a raster data set that has no table, but it does have geography, there I can see the cell-based geography, including the highest points, which are white, and the lowest points, which are black. Go ahead and click on the paths shapefile, and there you can see the geography and the metadata as well. And take a few minutes and explore all of the source data in the catalog view. And then once you're done, go ahead and close the catalog view. Save your ArcGIS Pro project. Now that you've had a chance to explore the source data, the next step is to add an empty geodatabase model with schema to a new map. So I'm going to go to the Insert ribbon and click the New Map dropdown and select New Map. That creates a new map view. There I can see the tab. And then in my contents pane, I can see it listed in my contents pane as well. And if I click the word map twice slowly, I can rename it as Neverland space map. And that renames the map in the contents pane, in the map view tab, but also if we go over to the catalog pane and expand the maps group, there we can see the Neverland map view listed. Now I'm ready to load my new geodatabase schema into my map view. So I'm going to expand the databases group and select and drag the game schema feature dataset and drop it onto my map view. And that loads it both into my map view and also into the contents pane. I'm going to do the same with my 4 standalone tables. I'm going to select them all, click and drag and drop them on my map view. Now they don't load in my map view, but they do load in my contents pane under standalone tables. Now if I right click and open up the attribute table for my dots feature class, you'll see that it has no records in it because we haven't loaded any data into it yet. And if you look at the map view, you'll see that there's no features in the map view either. Now, of course, we're outside the extent of our area of interest, so we need to zoom over to our extent and verify that there are no features loaded yet. So in the navigate group on the map ribbon, I'm going to click on the go to XY button, and then I'm going to enter my longitude as 0, my latitude as 0, and then I'm going to click enter on the keyboard. And this is going to jump over to where Neverland Isle is. And if I didn't see that flash, I can flash it again. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in by clicking on the scale drop up button and select 1 to 100,000. And there's no features there because we haven't loaded any data yet. Now, sometimes it's hard to get out of that XY tool once you activate it. Just go back to the map ribbon and click on the Go to XY button again or the Explore button, and that'll reset your cursor. Now, the ArcGIS Pro Append geoprocessing tool will serve as our vector ETL tool. It will extract the data from the source shapefile, transform the feature geometry and attribute values, and load the data into the target geodatabase feature class. We'll begin in Catalog, where we'll right-click on the dots feature class and select Load Data. This opens up the Append geoprocessing tool, which is one of the ArcGIS Pro ETL tools. And I need to set the input data set. I'm going to click on the Browse button. And in the Input Datasets window, I'm going to drill down to our Modeling Neverland source data and select the dots.shp shapefile and click OK. Now I need to set my target data set, and I'm going to set it to the dots feature class, which is listed in the contents pane, so I can click on the drop down and just select dots. For my field matching type, I'm going to leave it set on the default setting, which is input fields must match target fields. And then I'm going to disable the undo because I don't want to be able to save my changes and it's empty, so I'm not going to mess anything up. So go ahead and click Run on the Append tool. And there you can see the feature geometry has loaded into the map view and the attribute records have loaded into the table view, including all of our different subtypes. And if I scroll the table all the way down to the bottom, we'll see there are 317 records that have been loaded into the dots feature class attribute table. Now I want you to use the append tool and the settings as specified in the statement of work to load data into the islands and paths feature classes. I'm going to go ahead and advance the video, and I'll see you on the flip side. Now that I've got the paths loaded and the islands as well, I'm going to close the append geoprocessing tool. I'm going to go ahead and right click and open the attribute table for the islands feature class. There you can see I've loaded all my islands as well, 13 different records, along with their land cover that loaded in the short integer field. Now, of course, an integer is a number, but our attribute domain is showing us the coded description for the land cover. Now, if I go to the dots layer, notice that it loaded into the contents with the subtype. And in the attribute table, I can see there's the short integer type field, including all the subtypes loaded instead of as integers, right? It's showing the coded description, which is the small and large star and the small and large spot. Go ahead and close all of the table views. Save your ArcGIS Pro project. Now in the next task, we're going to load the tabular record data, and we're going to utilize the same append geoprocessing tool to do that. So in the catalog table there, you can see there's the John Darling target data set. And if I open it from the contents to view the table view, I can see there's no records in the John Darling standalone table right now. So in catalog, I'm going to right click on John Darling and select load data. That opens the append geoprocessing tool. Now I need to set my input data set, and I can do that by clicking the browse button, but I can also navigate to the source data in catalog and then select the source file, in this case johndarling.dbf, click and drag and drop it into my input data sets. Also need to set my target data set. I'm going to set it to the John Darling standalone table in the geodatabase. Leave my field matching type set to the default setting. Make sure I disable undo. Go ahead and click run. And that loads my source records into my target table. If I resize my columns, there now I can see my text location field with 2 integers, and notice it's showing the description, my number short integer field, as well as my outcome text field. Now it's your turn. I want you to load the Michael Darling and Peter Pan DBase tables into our source Michael Darling and Peter Pan standalone geodatabase tables. And after we do that, then I'll work with you to add the tabular record data to the Wendy Darling table. Now I'm going to go ahead and advance the video, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, at this point, I've loaded both the Michael Darling, and if I open up the Peter Pan attribute table, you can see the Peter Pan records as well.